He stood across the street from the house he had built with his own hands in hard years, feeling like a stranger in his own life. The paint on the porch railing was chipped now, the windows dull with age, but the place still carried the weight of his childhood prayers and promises. Beneath the worn coat and the frayed shoes, no one could see the millions he had earned, the boardrooms he ruled, or the power he carried. Tonight, he was just a poor man coming home with nothing. And in the next few hours, he would discover whether blood truly meant belonging, or if kindness only lived where comfort existed. If you believe in kindness, quests, and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Stories like this remind us that true character is revealed when no one expects a reward. His name was Daniel Carter, raised in a working-class town in the United States, where faith was strong but opportunities were few. His parents taught him to pray before bed and work before sunrise. When his father died suddenly, the family struggled, and Daniel learned early how money could change the way people treated you. He left home at 18 with a borrowed suitcase and a stubborn belief that God had more planned for him than survival. Decades later, through relentless work, sharp instincts, and quiet generosity no one ever traced back to him, Daniel became a self-made millionaire. But success came with a cost. Distance. Silence. Years passed without visits home. Phone calls growing shorter. Relationships thinner. After a health scare that reminded him how fragile life truly was, Daniel felt an ache that money could not touch. He wanted to know if his family loved him for who he was, or for what they believed he had become. So he made a decision that would unsettle even his closest advisors. He sold the image of success for a disguise of poverty and returned home unannounced, carrying only a small bag and a quiet test. The first door he knocked on belonged to his older brother Mark, who now lived in a renovated version of their childhood home. Mark had always resented Daniel's ambition, feeling abandoned when Daniel left. When Daniel appeared at the door, thinner, tired, and dressed like a man who had lost everything, recognition flickered briefly before suspicion replaced it. Mark listened to Daniel's story of failure and loss with folded arms. He did not invite him inside. He offered advice instead, distant and uncomfortable, suggesting shelters and day work. The door closed gently, but the message was clear. There was no room for broken people and a life built on comfort. Daniel walked away feeling the first crack in his resolve. He reminded himself that this was a truth he came to find. Next was his sister Rebecca, once the gentlest of them all. She lived in a small apartment, juggling work and motherhood. When she saw Daniel, something softened in her eyes, but fear followed quickly. She let him sit for a moment, offered water, but her anxiety filled the room. She worried about her children, about stability, about what a struggling brother might cost her fragile balance. She prayed with him briefly, pressed a small bill into his hand, and asked him not to come back until he was back on his feet. Her kindness was real, but limited by fear. Night settled in as Daniel reached the last place he hesitated to visit, his mother's house. She was older now, slower, her world reduced to routines and memories. She had heard rumors of Daniel's success through relatives, exaggerated stories that painted him as distant and proud. When she opened the door and saw him standing there, worn and weary, she did not ask questions. She did not hesitate. She pulled him inside, wrapped him in a hug that felt like coming home after a lifetime away. She fed him with what little she had, gave him her bed, and slept on the couch without complaint. She listened to his story without judgment, only sadness that he had suffered alone. In the quiet of the night, Daniel felt tears soak into the pillow for the first time in years. This was not a test anymore. This was truth. The days that followed revealed even more. His mother defended him when relatives questioned his presence. She shared her food, her time, her prayers. She believed his worth had never changed, even if his circumstances had. Word spread quickly through the family that Daniel had failed. Some offered advice from a distance. Others avoided him altogether. A few showed curiosity masked as concern. Then Daniel ended the test. One Sunday morning, after church, he gathered his family together. The room buzzed with tension, pity, and quiet judgment. When he stood, straightened his posture, and calmly revealed who he truly was, the air shifted. He spoke of the years away, the success, the wealth he had hidden, and the reason he returned in disguise. Shock rippled through the room. Faces flushed with embarrassment. Regrets surfaced where indifference had lived. Mark could not meet his eyes. Rebecca wept, tore between relief and shame. But Daniel looked only at his mother, who sat quietly, hands folded, as if none of it changed anything at all. He thanked her publicly, not for taking him in, but for loving him without conditions. He explained that the test was never about punishment, but understanding. He had learned who would stand beside him in loss, not just in victory. Near the end of this story, if it touched your heart or made you reflect on how you treat others, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps spread messages that matter. Just before the ending, please comment below if you believe that true wealth is revealed in moments of humility, not success. Daniel did not cut anyone off. Instead, he did something unexpected. He invested in their lives thoughtfully, not equally, but intentionally. He helped Rebecca without taking away her dignity. He supported Mark's business, but required accountability and humility. And he ensured his mother would never worry again, honoring her faith and sacrifice in ways money alone could never repay. In the end, Daniel returned to his life of success, but something in him had changed forever. He understood now that wealth could open doors, but character determined who welcomed you inside. And he carried with him a truth far more valuable than money. When everything is stripped away, kindness is what remains.